All right, we are live for the very special 21st episode of the
Let's Go podcast. We got a real special podcast here. We got the legendary Sam Sutton on the podcast. Sam is not only known for the voice of the RSK at All Tournament, not only known for being the commissioner of the legendary M&S softball league that takes place in Deal in the summers, but there's also a lot else behind the legend of Sam Sutton, and we are super excited to talk all about it today.
All right,
Eagle Care Group.
Avi, David, thank you so much for having me on. And before we get this started, let me just get this out of the way. Let's go!
That's probably the best Let's Go we've had so far.
Episode 21, that's actually definitely no coincidence. I wore 21 on my jersey for years and years. So actually after Paul O'Neill, mind you. But be number 21. And listen, I'm an open book. Been doing this for a long time. We kind of are in similar circles with some of the things that you guys do. We can get into that in a bit, but listen, open forum, ask away.
How much money do you make in a year?
Not enough.
Not enough. Got it. So a couple of months, well, really about 8 months ago, I approached Avi, maybe even a little bit more than that, and we'd been playing in this softball league together for about 4 or 5 years. And he said Avi was interested in doing this full time as a parnasa and as a way of life. And I said to him, "Why don't we buy this league?" It was a small league, had about 7 teams in it. And Avi really did. It was called the Hillcrest Softball League. And I knew Avi to be an outstanding salesman and marketer. And I guess I'm better at some of the adult operation stuff, so to speak. So.
Dave's definitely the adult in this relationship.
Yeah, even though I look much younger with the shaved beard.
The last podcast that I watched from you guys, you had a nice little burly beard going on. Now you look like a bar.
I know. To analyze myself, I think subconsciously I keep the beard just so I don't look like a bar mitzvah boy. But my wife is definitely happy with me clean shaven. So we had the spring HSL, and Avi did a great job recruiting teams, bringing in talent. We had 2 divisions with 18 teams, and we've been doing this podcast, and now we started some youth divisions, and there's going to be a summer league, and we have a summer league now. But anyway, when we asked people for advice on, how to build a league and be successful, a number of people said, speak to Sam Sutton. Menachem Diamondstein in particular said, "Speak to Sam Sutton about how to build a softball league." So we're here with you, and we want to hear more about how you achieve such success in this space.
You mentioned Menachem, and that's a perfect segue for what we're about to get into. Listen, I could talk for hours. I'm sure you've seen some of my work. You put a microphone on, you put a camera on, I get to schmooze with the best of them. We'll get into this particular topic to start because you're putting it out. So I actually got involved in the league scene, or we'll even start with softball, before I was even in base measures. My brother and I, when I was about, I think I was 14 years old or so, there's a time period between camp and school, a 2-week period. And usually that's when all the kids are all over the place and everyone's just doing absolutely nothing. So we saw an opportunity, we're like, let's do a kids league in Deal, New Jersey. There is about 5-6 camps. And the godless of what we do is, listen, I went to yeshiva, but I could schmooze with any mainstream Syrian there is also, because that's also who I am. So it's kind of like a melting pot. Whether you become the most frum or the more secular, it doesn't make a difference. We're here for ball, and we're here to give you guys a good time. And we do have a lot of relationships with all these parents just based on, my family and who we are, going way back. People feel comfortable, and whether it be, because usually you don't get that, especially nowadays, you don't get like the super frum crowd and the super secular crowd getting together and playing in a league. But, with Hashem's help, made literally a few phone calls, printed out a bunch of flyers, dropped it off in like 6-7 different camps, not sure what to expect. We were like anticipating maybe 20 kids will show up, but listen, knock on wood, or with Hashem's help, the blue, we had about 180 kids show up day one. And we kind of ran with it from there. So we made a little draft, a little bit of a tryout. 3-4 years of doing this, we had over 200 kids, about 8-9 different umpires / counselors, And that's what really the extent of what I was doing back when I was a younger kid. That's how I was making money. And I realized we had some pretty good organizational skills. Me being a sports fan from day one definitely helps. When the guys in charge, and Avi and David, you guys could definitely speak to this. When the guys in charge are living it the same way that the people in the league are living it, it kind of adds an enthusiasm, or it adds some sort of aspect, as opposed to a guy that's doing it just to pay the bills. So, fast forward 4 or 5 years, my brother ended up going to Eretz Yisrael. I was like, all right, I could do it myself, which I did. But then when I went to Eretz Yisrael, we came back like, all right, hey, we got to do something. We're sitting on something. And
Wait,
about,
slow down. You were in high school when you first did this?
yes, I was a high school,
Wow.
yeah.
How old are you? How old are you now?
Now I am 38 years old. So we're talking
Oh.
about 26 years ago or so when we're starting right here. And then when I got back,
You were a child. You were a child, really.
I'm still a child. I don't know. Nothing changed. So regardless, when I got back from Eretz Yisrael, we were like, you know what? Let's make an adult men's league. It was a tough thing to do in Deal. Again, we took a stab at it. I got a location in Deal that has lights on the field. Till today, 18 years later, it is still the only lights in the Deal, New Jersey area, where kind of the only show in town. So we still got to build the brand and got to do it the right way. We started small, and then we expanded right away. We went from like 4 to like 10 teams in like day 1 to day 2, like literally from year 1 to year 2. And now, again, with Hashem's help, we're in year number 17 right now on that. And that kind of got my feet wet in the commissioner world. And in the interim, like, you know, I'm pretty, I guess, known to you guys as the person that announces all of these events and the person that is behind the microphone or on the podium. That was always my love. That was always my dream. I actually went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting for about less than a semester.
Did you really? It's
Yep.
so funny you say that, because that was always my dream. When I was in high school, I was telling every single friend, I'm going to Connecticut School of Broadcasting. There was my backyard in Brooklyn, you know, like the 10x4 backyards they have over there. So we had these wiffle ball leagues that we had, and my bedroom was like the back wall of my house. So I was the broadcaster. I'd announce every single game. We'd run these little leagues. My dream was to go to, but I was always saying it's a dream, like it actually could never happen. It's so cool that it actually went there. It's pretty crazy.
So it's funny, Avi, I actually announced when I pour myself a bowl of cereal. That's just how crazy that I am. So you should know, I enlisted and I couldn't get in right away. It was super expensive, the tuition over there. It was like something astronomical. My parents are like, listen, if you're going to make a living out of this, find out what the upside is before you get into it. And I said, okay. I actually applied for a scholarship over there, and they had some sort of competition, submitting some sort of article. I submitted, made the top 5, was pretty cool, gave me a little bit of a break. I literally only went there for less than a semester. I just enrolled. And when I had a conversation with the people there, essentially what they told me was, even if you're super successful, and even if you're the top of your class, and even if you knock it out of the park, the job placement they're going to give you is Division III lacrosse women's in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and work your way up from college radio and then make your way up. I said, no. I'm listening to the Fan. I'm listening to ESPN radio. I'm better than these clowns. What are you talking about? I ain't going to no Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's not happening. So that dream was shortly lived in the CSB. However, I did really make some important contacts there, contacts that I still utilize till this very day, because the experience that I had there really, really shaped the path, because one of the things they teach you is video editing, because they don't just let you do one thing. You're not just an on-air talent. You have to have multiple skills. So I started producing videos, high-quality ones. I'm sure you've seen the highlights that I put together for my leagues. And the play-by-play, that just comes natural. Literally, I'll like I said before, I will announce anything and everything, and I have no busha, for better or for worse, about what I'm doing, which is fine. And literally, the contacts that I made are all in the industry. Like, there are people I have in my phone book, on-air talent right now, like pretty significant ones that have drive time shows on both New York stations. I have a lot of producers that I keep in touch with, and I use my contacts because I actually, over the course of the last 18 years, I'm not going to get into everything, but I started a sports/marketing company where I was representing some major brands. We were doing some ESPN work. We were doing I was running the social for Matthew Berry. I was like in Bristol, Connecticut. I could share you some photos sitting in FAN studios. Like I definitely had a lot of cool experiences touring the Facebook headquarters and the Twitter headquarters and the Instagram and the Snapchat. Like I really made my way around in that world. And when I try to more focus on the sports angle of it, because that's really where it speaks to me more than anything, but it really gave me a lot of experience. And over the course of time, because after I got married, I moved to Brooklyn. And as you know, I'm doing the sports, the softball league and deal. And you brought up Menachem Diamonds team. We'll segue back to that. I saw like this league that was about 30, 40 years old, kind of defunct, kind of phasing out. All the top tier talent was kind of migrating to the Deal Spring League, the YMSL, which is a lot more, organized and a lot, just a lot more going for it at the time. And I saw an opportunity and I actually purchased the league. And me being more of a worldly type, a lot of the Sephardim leagues, at least back then, they were kind of pigeonholed and they are only taking community members. See, I don't see things that way. And I have a lot of people that I know, a lot of contacts that I know. And one of the guys that I know was Menachem. And I'm like, Menachem, listen, I want to bring about 20 to 30 Ashkenazim into the league. I don't care what the league members say, but that's really how I want to, because I can't keep on chasing talent that wants to be elsewhere. I want to find talent that wants to be here. And that's the recipe for a good, successful league. So I got together a bunch of these new recruits. We made some sort of tryout. Like by Avenue P Park. I made a nice little video package for them, got them excited, and that kind of reinvigorated.
I actually just saw that a couple of days ago. It came up in my feed. That was like the outdoor. Dave, you like this is on the concrete. Speaking of what
exactly.
was saying, you had Stephen Gindi there. I was shocked. Like these guys showed up in the rain. Like it must have been cold out because they're all wearing sweatshirts.
I mean, it was
on concrete for a tryout. I was shocked. How did you do that? Like how do you get these guys to show up? Nothing was there, Dave.
When was this video made? Nothing Mintz. When was this made?
We're talking about 5 years ago or so when I bought the league. And listen, it's all about hype. It's all marketing.
Wait one second. Before going on, I just want to make sure I get the chronology. 26 years ago, you do your boys' product. You keep that running for a few years. You go to Israel. You come back, and then you get involved in an adult league. But that's not the YMSL, that adult league.
No. YMSL is the Spring Day League. The MNS Summer Night League is my brother. I'm S. My brother is M. He's Max. You probably know him from these tournaments as well. He's captain in all these teams. So we're partners.
He's won the championships with his kid on Thursday.
Yes.
So the one that you started was the MNS 17 years ago, and then YMSL you purchased 5-6 years ago.
No, I didn't purchase YMSL. YMSL was actually purchased by DSN. The league that I purchased in Brooklyn was at the time called BKS, the Brooklyn Softball League, more of a predominantly Sephardi league. Actually, their website is sysoftball.com. And when I took it over, I wanted to rebrand it because I actually played in that league when I moved to Brooklyn, and it was elite. The pitching was second to none, and I played and commissioned and was around a lot of different leagues in my day, and the pitching was second to none. There were great position players there, and then people just started to leave. And it was like a shame because this league was literally dating back since the 70s, 80s, and all of a sudden it was like on the respirator at the time, and no fault to the people running it at the time, but it was just impossible to try to keep on chasing people that didn't want to be there. So I when I bought it, I shifted gears. I brought in all the Ashkenaz recruits, got involved with a lot more different crowds, more of the Crown Heights crowd, more of the just out there, not really the Flatbush, Midwood, Sephardim. That wasn't what I was targeting. And it was a little bit of a culture shock for the people that were a part of the league forever, but they slowly but surely ingratiated them. It helps that in the Koya League, a lot of these guys play together as well. So, it wasn't like a complete foreign thing. However, guys like Archie Eichhorn and Yankee Itzkowitz and that crew, I went after what I considered to be the ringleaders that could bring along with them, even if they're not stars with them, but compatible, really good defensive players, because defense is really what makes these leagues go. And I could care less if it's a 13-12 game. I'd rather a 1-0 game. Defense wins. Defense is crisp ball, and it's just better for everybody around, including the commissioners.
Sam, what position do you play?
I played a lights out Gold Glove third base. I played.
Really?
Yes.
What happened? Why'd you stop?
I stopped because I'd rather make money with the sport than actually play the sport. That's why.
fit.
Very smart.
I learned something also very important with these leagues because I could still play. I mean, I played the last year I was in Brooklyn because I moved to Jersey. I played in one of these Coil night leagues and like on this really good team. I played really well. But if I'm running a league, I can't do what I do if I'm playing. I am not filming. I am not on top of everything. I am not doing play-by-play. I'm not doing my media obligations. And from what I learned, if you're giving the players in the league, and which is a testament to this podcast, if you're doing a league and the league feels like they're a part of something bigger and they're a part of a culture and they're a part of a network, then they're kind of buying all in into just not just showing up, getting on the field, playing, leaving. When's the next game? Maybe I'll text the group chat every now and then. No. If you're seeing yourself, and there's a highlight package, and there's stats, and there's and the professionalism, and the umpires, and the fields are lined with the lines, and everyone more or less buys in because they feel like they're a part of something bigger than what they actually are, and that's a really important fact, and that's again part of the marketing package. It's all about presenting the product the right way. Even if you're putting lipstick on a pig and the players are not that good, you can make it look better than what it actually is. And we started that way, and then we built to a good spot in the Brooklyn League that I took over. And then I was moving. I couldn't commute back and forth. I sold the league, and now it's off on its own. I'm not really sure where it's at. Listen, it was a labor of love and also a labor of a pain in the neck, but it's behind me now on that one. But I'm still running the M&S Night League, and when I moved to Lakewood, I was getting a bunch of random phone calls from people I didn't know who they were, asking me if I can come record. And one of them was Shimon Friedman of LBA. He said, "Can you come record my World Series? Can you come record my championship basketball?" And mind you, at the time, I really didn't do anything aside from softball. When I was like, I dabbled here and there, nothing crazy. But I'm like, listen, I say what I see. Nothing should change if it's softball, baseball, basketball, football, whatever it may be. I'm pretty knowledgeable on all the sports. And Avi, I just want to stop right now. The Red Solo Cup at 9:27 a.m. is something of legend. That is amazing. Anyway, back to what we were saying. Shimon called me up and brought me on board. I did their World Series, and I had fun with it, with the camera, with the sponsors, and all that shtick. And then from there, it morphed into getting a call from the All Hell tournament, getting a call from the RSK tournament, and now I do also every Tuesday night. I'm driving into Brooklyn. I'm doing the top tier basketball league. I'm calling play-by-play on, and I actually have more fun with that than anything else because I love calling basketball. I'm a huge hoops fan, and that became like what I do also, part of the repertoire. And now, listen, they call. As long as they pay the bills, I'm there. And as long as my schedule permits it, I'm there. And for all intents and purposes, if there was an opportunity to do what I'm doing in the broadcast world full time, where I could actually make a real living with it, I would be there in a heartbeat. But for the time being, it's just, supplemental cute on the side. But that's kind of where I'm at with that.
So Sam,
before we move on, I gotta respond to the Red Cup accusation. The first few podcasts, I was getting a lot of feedback.
Yankee Itzkowitz. We have to say something about that. But
we can talk about that. But the first few podcasts, I was getting a lot of feedback, mainly from my father, how I'm always shaking back and forth. I cannot sit still for a second. I'm super ADD, super ADHD. I'm going like this the whole time. I'm moving my head, I'm moving my body. I was like Avi, you gotta stop. Like you're watching the podcast. So I was trying all these little things, and I realized the one thing that keeps me from shaking is drinking out of a red cup. I don't know if it's a red cup, but it's drinking a coffee or drinking something. So if I had taken this every 45 seconds,
coffee now you're saying, okay, just making sure.
Yeah, it's coffee. We did have a incident. Oh, it's an incident. We had a podcast guest a few weeks ago who had a red cup, and there was something else in that red cup. It definitely was not coffee, and we didn't find out until after.
Sounds like Yankee Itzkowitz.
Yeah.
I know. It's at about 8:30. It was about 8:30 in the morning, and he says, I don't do public stuff. I needed something to relax me during this interview. I don't do.
That sounds like Yankee for sure.
So Sam, you have the broadcasting. You went for the semester there. It sounds like it was really a big networking opportunity for you. More than anything.
100%. That's what I viewed it as, and it opened a lot of doors for me. Like, for example, I'm actually, maybe have you guys on. I'm actually starting a podcast real soon My guest list is legitimate people. Like my guest list, I have all of my on-air talent that I actually already kind of called in the favor without calling
Is
it in yet.
Yankee Itzkowitz considered a legitimate guest, or
He
that's
wants to sponsor the podcast, and he's a legitimate guest, yes. But if not, then no. We're talking like I reached out to guys like Dave Rothenberg and Robin Lundberg and Ryan Rucco and guys that are on air doing
What
national.
happened to Robin Lundberg? I feel like Rucco and Lundberg was like this big show. Ryan Rucco took off. He's now at ESPN. Where's Robin Lundberg at? Like, what happened with
He
that?
actually works for SI. He's doing all their digital content. He's a super nice guy. I'll WhatsApp him every now and then. Like I'll get a few one-word answers. He's not too talkative, but when I get him on, he's pretty good. I'll tell you, like Don LaGreca, for example. Like I'll email him back and forth, and he's very personable. He's a nice guy, nice dude. Like these people, if I get him on for a segment, I'm happy. It just adds to the legitimacy. The reason why I was delaying is because an actual community member, her name is Judy Shalmy. You may know her as Jersey Judy. She's been on New Jersey 101.1 for like the last 40 plus years. I was actually in conversations with her to see if I can become part of the umbrella of that actual station and be a part of their digital team. And if not only that, she used to be partners with Craig Carton because he used to work for that station as well many years ago. And she's very tight with him. Like he's doing his Fox show now. So I was trying to see if I can get some sort of
I was gonna ask. Craig Carton was my sports talk idol growing up. I was gonna ask if you have any relationship with him because then the real jealousy will kick in for me.
Well, I think we got cut off for a second because I received a phone call. I think it cut me out, but
I was
I'm not sure.
asking. I was asking. I said, and you brought up Craig Carton. I was going to ask you. Craig Carton was my sports talk radio idol for all my years growing up. I was going to say that if you had any relationship with him, the real jealousy would kick in right away, right now.
So aside from me DMing him back and forth a few times and him replying to me on Twitter, aside from that, I'm working on a relationship with right now through Judy Shalmy, Jersey Judy. If I can get him on as a guest, that'd be great. A lot of times these, high-end people that work for these major networks have some clauses and they have some contractual obligations where they're not allowed to join independents, which I think is ridiculous. But I'm actually learning that in the industry right now, and I'm working through it. And to me, it's worth waiting to get all these details ironed out because I'd rather get my high-end guest on than start, here and there. Maybe I'll get a guy. I want to be like professional and legitimate. However, sometimes that's a detriment because sometimes it actually just causes you to drag your feet and not start the project. Listen, it's in the works, and it's actually called Turn It Up. I have a really good partner, and stay tuned for that, I guess. I'll send you guys details.
Are you allowed to reveal who your partner is, or is this a surprise that we're all going to have to wait?
His name is David Simhon. We call him Simmons. He also has a lot of connects in the industry. He's really well spoken. I work with him in one of the tournaments that I do, the Hot Shot tournament in Deal, New Jersey. That's like, they get like the YU basketball players to come down and join that tournament, and they get a lot of these like Maccabee select guys to join, and also, of course, the top recruits from all the leagues around that play in it. And I kind of do play-by-play, and I do the highlights and recording of that. And he does more of like the end one mixtape on the loudspeaker as opposed to me doing like the actual nuts and bolts, play-by-play that I do on my camera for that tournament. So like we have a relationship from that, and even dating back forever. He actually played in my softball league years ago. Good relationship, very well spoken, well educated, has a lot of connects. Like you can get a lot of coaches on, collegiate coaches. Like when we do our pod, it's gonna be good. It's a good dynamic to have with us, and I'm actually really much looking forward to it. When? Maybe end of August. I'm hoping, but. Let's forget about my upcoming pod. Ask me more questions about other stuff.
So, well, I'm curious. So you had the broadcasting interest, but it sounds like you figured out how to be a world-class marketer as well. Was that instinctual? Did you learn about it? How did it happen?
So let me give you a little bit of a secret, David. Everything is marketing. Sales is marketing. You're marketing yourself. So you want to call it marketing, I'll call it salesmanship. I mean, as long as you're presenting your product, and if your product is your content, so be it. I worked in wholesale for many years. How did I sell something?
Like a good Syrian.
But like a good, dutiful Syrian should. I was in wholesale for quite a few years. And some of Hashem's help, there was success along the way. Like when you're selling Walmart and you're selling Target and you're selling these major chain stores, I learned something the hard way that I didn't know as a kid. And I tried and tried and tried. You could study the market all you want. You could learn your product all you want. You could learn your competitors' products all you want. And all that knowledge ain't getting you anywhere. That and 275 gets you on the subway, as they say. I'll tell you what gets you something is connections and personal relationships with people. Like, I saw someone do it in a meeting I was tagging along on when I was younger, and I accidentally did it. It's actually a really funny story. If you have time, I'll tell it to you. I was, you know what? I'll give you the elevator pitch version. I was actually waiting to meet with Walmart, and I had a 12-minute open to buy session with the buyer that I was working 6 to 8 months to get. So now imagine 8 months working, uploading all your SKUs and your colors and your UPCs and your, you name it, the price points and the fabrics from China and this insanity. My head's ready to explode just talking about it. But 8 months of work, and you're so confident, and you're going in, and you have 12 minutes. Go figure it out. I'm like, unfair, like literally all leading up to that. Now, I'm waiting literally to go into the room. I never met the buyer, mind you, because I'm looking from the outside, and all I do is spoken to the assistant on the phone, so I don't even know who I'm meeting with. And as I'm looking, and I see another Syrian cat meeting with the buyer, and he's eating into my time, and I am bugging out. 12 minutes becomes 11 minutes, becomes 10 minutes, and I'm freaking out. I'm like frantic, and lo and behold, there's this person next to me, and I'm like venting, nervous energy, venting to this person, and she's cracking up. Finally, after 5, 6 minutes of overtime, the guy gets out, and this person walks in the room with me. I'm like, what are you doing? This is my meeting time. She's like, no, it's my meeting time. Who's the buyer? We made a connection. All of a sudden, the last 6 minutes, we're just schmoozing about nonsense. She's like, let me see your stuff. Let me see. Okay. She ended up buying from me. I said, that was not how I envisioned selling Walmart. You would think I was replacing these national branded goods. And like, it's all about the connection. They trust you. They like you. They feel you. Then all of a sudden, it all goes from there. From then on, my approach changed. And that's how I started selling. Conversation. Do I care about said buyer's kids? Absolutely not. But do they think I do? Absolutely yes. Do I know that this buyer likes X, Y, and Z, or getting him into an event and an MMA something because I know he loves it it works. Trust me, the connections work, and that really works across the board. When I got into marketing, listen, I had some sort of proprietary software that we were working on, me, my partner and I, but I was the salesperson. I didn't do anything. I was hiring people to run all of the work and do all the graphic, and because you don't want me writing copy of content. What do I know? I mean, I could, but I mean, nowadays Chat GPT could probably do it also, but it was a no-brainer. I'm selling, 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 and that's with everything that I do. That's with when I'm behind the camera. Oh, because I'm well-spoken and I can give a few pronunciations of some interesting vocab words. It makes me no. It's just all about presenting and connecting with the audience, your end user. If you believe what I'm selling, you're going to tune in next time. And like, for example, right now, right here, I hope I'm engaging audience. I hope I'm engaging you guys. It's just a different mindset when you're connecting. When I'm on stage talking in front of 3,000 people, which I've been there, you've been there, a part of these events. Who am I talking to? I literally look at individuals when I talk. I'm connecting one-to-one, making eye contact, because this way it becomes authentic. This way it becomes, I'm not contrived. I'm not just up here to get it done. No, I don't feel that way. It's a very different mindset. And if you have that mindset, anyone that's afraid of public speaking, it could change drastically by just flipping that switch in your head. Make a connection with people. You're talking to the people. They're not all observing you as an entertainer, which may be the case, but if you change that mindset, it works. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, it's really it's fascinating what you're saying, but also you mentioned something earlier which you didn't mention just now, which is hype. You said is a huge thing, and I could see you're really good at conveying that. And it's interesting. You talk about being all in, and that your customer base or whatever you're going to call it feeds that. I was looking at your Instagram the other day, and
Which one?
saw the M&S baseball.
Okay, so it's funny. That's the softball league one, and that's kind of micro-targeted audience.
What's interesting? Well, that's what I'm going to bring up, which is that in the you had a post of the season preview in the community magazine, and
yes.
You're showing you go team by team, player by player, what they bring to the table, and the way that must get carried over to the individuals in the league. They must feel like $1 million
So
and also
David,
buy all in. Yeah.
so David, it's all part of the package, and by the way, the Community Magazine, I write an article for them every single month. I am kind of their sports section, so and that's pretty.
Yeah, you're good.
I thought you got stopped by the police. Okay, yeah. You've been.
I'm phone calls. I'm a busy man. My phone doesn't stop ringing. But
One second, you're driving.
I'm actually parked, and I'll give you a sneak. I'll give you a sneak peek of what's behind me. Hold on. I'm gonna get out of my car for a minute so you can see what I'm talking about. Hold on. It's worth this 10-second dead air walk so you can see what's behind me, even though the fog is pretty garbagey out here. But that is the beach right here in Deal, New Jersey.
Wow, very
Can't
nice.
see anything, but
very
yeah.
nice. Very nice.
Now I'm walking back to my car because it's way too muggy for me out here. But oh yeah, so I write the Community Magazine sports section every single month, and that just helps me get more of the name out. Like whenever I do start some sort of project, and whenever I do want to get sponsorship opportunities for my league, which I've done in the past. Now not as much because I'm a little more self-sufficient, but it helps. I write up in the community magazine, read by 80,000 plus people every single month. It's like, yeah, print media is dead, but not Shabbos print media. That's never going to die. Because Shabbos print media is a totally different ballgame. Because Sunday through Friday, right before Shabbos, you're on your phone. But the second Shabbos starts, and you're in the bathroom at the Chalent number 1, then you're reading the community magazine or the Ami or the whatever
What
you
time?
want.
Wait, Sam. What time is Cholent number 1 at? Is that on Friday or on Shabbos?
No, Shabbos morning Kiddush. Yeah.
Shabbos morning Kiddush. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I want to give a shout out for a minute, and then I have some questions. More questions I want to get into. You mentioned, deal obviously in the Syrian community, and you also mentioned you were in wholesale. Are you familiar with the Katzin wholesale dynasty?
The Kassin?
Yeah, Kassin. We call
Which
it Katzin.
Kassin?
Yeah.
There's quite a few. That's like saying Smith in America.
I don't know, but we had in our league in the HSL in the spring, we had a young kid, Jacob Kassin, and him, and then Jacob. So they've started a league in the Deal softball league on Sunday morning. Small league. They have 4 teams. So when I told them you were going to be on the podcast, they were very excited. So I have to shout them out.
I believe they reached out to me a few years ago about something. I may have sponsored something. I don't even know, but may have not. If I didn't, I apologize, Jacob. But
well, they still like you. They didn't say, "Oh, that jerk." They were.
Listen,
or at least they pretended. They might have pretended to like you. I don't know.
Love it. It's all about relationships. You got to never burn a bridge, ever, ever, ever. So as much as someone that I might want to not like, it's not worth it. You never know where it leads down the line, So, and that applies for everything in life. I made connections 15, 20 years ago that are paying off now in ways I never thought I'd imagine. It's all Yad Hashem, obviously, but you got to keep relationships strong with everybody. That's part of the presentation. That's part of the marketing. You mentioned before my Instagram feed of my community magazine write-up. Listen, we do and I suggest you guys do this if you don't already do it. It might be lengthy, but it's definitely effective. I do a season preview show where my brother and I literally rattle off every single name on every team roster, and we give a little bit of a line or a little bit of a 3-4 sentence breakdown of that player, and then we go through the teams and obviously give our predictions. And it might be a 2-hour episode. You may have to break it up into different teams and post it. When everyone sees their name and everyone hears their name, and even if what you're saying is completely false, there are players that I've made up things about that make absolutely no sense, that literally they call me up like, what are you talking about? And
Sam, I literally was thinking that when I was reading what you posted, you had such specificity about so many players. And I was like, is all of this really true?
No, so those players, yes. Those are probably captains, and those are guys that play in my league for years. But when I have a rookie and I say he's the runner-up MVP of the South Atlantic League, and he played in the Tijuana Table Dancers and an offshore league, and the guy calls me, he's like, where do you get this stuff from?
Okay,
and,
Sam, while we're on this topic of players and stuff, I'm going to ask you a few questions. You have 5 seconds to answer. Very quick. Who's the best current pitcher in the region of Jewish softball?
Okay, so I've seen a lot. If I had to gun to my head, even though he's not as great as he was in the past, it would be Nathan Batesh. Nate B, his name is.
Phenomenal pitcher. I finally had a chance to hit up Patesh in the Coil League last year. That guy pitches the ball so fast, and he has a riser that comes up on you with that speed. Brutal.
So
Brutal.
I'll tell you one thing about Nate B. Listen, I played with him. I played against him. I've commissioned him. I've viewed him in a different league for many, many, many years. Like, we're talking about 15 plus years. He actually played in my league back in the day, but now he's like in the city or Brooklyn. He doesn't come to deal anymore. But that guy, when he was at his apex, I'm telling you, you would not find a pitcher in the Jewish world that would come close to him. His speed, his precision, his riser, he was unhittable. He could paint corners inside out. He knows how to change speeds enough where he'll get you chasing away, and then he'll get you thinking where he goes low in, and then he'll just like blowing right by you, and you're like, how did I not even hit that? But you swing right through it. The kid got speed. I mean, he's my age. He's not a kid anymore, but he's still pretty much up there. I mean, I've watched Steve Pollen 10, 15 years ago when he was amazing. Naby's better. Naby's top
Steve
of the
Pollen's not, Steve Pollen's not amazing anymore?
Steve's great. He's actually, I've watched him pitch last year or the year before, but Steve would be the first to tell you he is not what he was 15, 20 years ago. He was legendary back then. And from then, the phenom that Naby was talking about in 2010, 11, 12, like those years, I don't think anyone could touch him. He kind of puts together the resume that you'll get from, like, give me a guy, like a Sandy Cole.
Yeah.
Season out of him. Like,
Okay.
so that's the
next question, Tim. Best hitter currently in the Jewish softball in this region.
great question. I don't have as much familiarity with the Lakewood guys as I should. I don't know much about the leagues outside of the region that I'm kind of a part of over the last few years, so it's kind of a jaded answer, but great question. I mean, I'm going to probably be upset at myself for answering this because he's probably going to see this and call me up and saying, I'll never give him the credit, but probably Michael Cohen, MC. He can put a triple in the gap whenever he wants, and
You know Michael
No,
Cohen?
I don't actually. I'm a little surprised I don't. Who's Michael Cole? How old is he? Where's he from? What leagues is he playing?
MC, Brooklyn, plays in Deal now, plays in my league. His only issue with him is sometimes he doesn't care as much as he should, and that kind of comes to territory with first overall pick type players. However, at the end of the day, the guy's always batting a 580, always leads the league in extra base hits, always. And here's the problem with him: he's an elite center fielder, Gold Glove year in year out. He's bored of being elite and like he'll want to pitch now. Like stop it, go be the best at what you are. And
Right.
however, pound for pound, talent wise, bat to ball, batting over a 500-600 yearly, at least in my league. I can't say the same for other leagues that he plays in because it's a little bit of an adjustment period for him. But in my league, he's usually considered the best player in the league. And there are other guys, like the Stephen Gindys of the world. He's just world-class leader, world-class talent.
I thought you were going to go Gindy. I wrote Gindy.
No, so Gindy, so you should know, Gindy was MVP of the league last year. He's awesome. Gindy's top 3-4 players every single year. And guess what? You're probably going to get more of a steady presence. And if I want a captain, I'm taking Stephen Gindy as my captain because Stephen Gindy will captain me to the ship. Michael Cohen will
Okay,
not.
so I wanna go back to something you said, which is very interesting to me. You mentioned the first round draft picks not caring as much. Something I gained a lot of respect. We have a team in the HSL. It's been around for a while. The Bombers. Steve Pollen is one of the captains. I don't know if you know the other players. I don't know how familiar you are. Who else would Sam know on that team?
Glenn Zuckerman, he's a second baseman. He's a hitting legend. The guy is phenomenal. Seth Fishman, Yehuda Koenig, another phenomenal pitcher. He's got this.
Either way, these guys are top-tier talent, and they care so much and try so hard. They show up 25 minutes before the game. They're doing batting practice. Games at 8 a.m. So something I found interesting is I have seen this phenomenon with the top-tier talent that there's a little bit of like like a too cool for school kind of attitude or
Listen,
something with some of them.
first rounders have prima donna kind of built into them, but at the end of the day, you can't argue with the back of the baseball card because a lot of these first rounders, they finish up the year as first rounders. However, team camaraderie, that's why I like when the first rounders are captains because they have to take ownership and responsibility of their teams. And if they're not there half hour before the game, fielding grounders or taking BP or making sure their lineup is in and being fully prepared, then you kind of can get yourself in a scenario where your first rounder is showing up at game time and, oh, he slotted one on the lineup, he slotted three in the lineup, and he just gets up there ready to hit. Doesn't have to take BP. Like, it's not his thing, you know? But that's why it's tough because a lot of times these first rounders are not captain material. Like, I've been there, I've done that, which makes a Stephen Gindy, for example, a unique talent. He's an elite leader and he's an elite player. And he's always going to be.
What is captain? Great topic. What is captain material, Sam?
Captain material is ownership and responsibility of every aspect of your team. And as a commissioner, I'll say this. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera right now because I'm driving. But as a commissioner,
it's okay. Your profile view is even more handsome than the direct view. So
all right, that's the case. You're driving like this, then. So,
a little eye candy for our female viewers,
if there are any female viewers. So I'll tell you one thing. So you asked me, what's captain material? Captain material is fairly simple. It's taking responsibility. Important thing because if everyone is on the same page that we're here to win a championship and nothing else matters, and we're going to protect the shield of the league as a captain, to me that goes a long way. And that even means helping out collecting league fees. That even means going out and making sure your players are wearing the uniform. That even goes out. It's just showing that the league has more of an importance than just the fact that you're showing up to play ball. And it's a full responsibility, full ownership from everybody involved. And usually when the captain has that mentality, the soldiers follow suit. They all are there early. They take it seriously. Of course, you have more fun when you win. However, taking that approach is a whole new level. I've seen captains come in and they make it more about themselves. They make it more about whatever personal situations, whatever it may be between the opposing captains. And the whole game, the whole night suffers because of it. And when you have the other captains that are there that respect the league and respect the game and respect the opponent and respect everyone around them, commissioners' decisions, etc. And I'm not looking for yes men to be captains. Absolutely not. I actually like to be challenged every now and then. However, I'm looking for people that are in it for the greater good and not in it just to pad stats, build their profile, and if they end up winning, then great. Even people that just want to win, but if they don't have all those check boxes checked, I don't like bring them back as captain.
All right, I got my next question for you, Sam. Game 7. Who do you got pitching for you? Michael Diamondstein or Steve Pollen?
Which version of Steve Pollen?
Wow, you're really hard on Steve Pollen. We're gonna have to have him.
No, Steve's an avid watcher of the podcast.
I may have watched Steve Pollen pitch like 10 times in my life. It's an unfair question. And I've watched Menachem. It's funny you asked this because I've watched Menachem dominate and mow through lineups, even with that little crow hop on the mound. Not going to say anything. But I've watched
crow hop. Not every tournament without fail. And it happened again. Me and Menachem actually teamed up as a pitching duo this past Thursday. We played with a bunch of these kids. There's one kid in particular, Bobby Batesh. I forgot his last name. Bobby something, shortstop. These 9th and 10th grade Syrian kids from Hillel who won the junior varsity championship. So they were bringing a team to the tournament Thursday. So they asked Menachem to pitch for them. Menachem said he'll pitch as long as he could bring a few other guys with them. So he brought me as the other pitcher and 3 other really good hitters. And every tournament without fail, I think it was a second playing game or the first game out of 3. Umpire comes over and says, Menachem, you got to watch that step.
I'll tell you one thing. The Syrians are sticklers for rules in softball. And if they find a little bit of a chink in the armor, a little bit of ammunition, they're going to hammer it home. And listen, the CARE tournament 2 years ago, the one that you're referencing now, this year, but 2 years ago, there was a lot of controversy. I know he beat my brother's team in the championship, and there was a lot of that throw hop going on and the umpire didn't want to get involved in the championship. I'm not changing things now. I'm not going to get involved. And there's a lot of
What is
controversy
the
there.
crow hop, guys? What is the crow hop for the uninitiated?
I'll let Sam explain.
No, you know what, Avi, you go ahead. You're the one that's on the mound. You can explain it better than I can.
Malcolm, right before his release, he takes a step, sort of like an extra step before his actual release ahead of the mound. And it's sort of like the guy pitches really fast, and he's getting another foot closer to the plate before he actually releases. So it's like dude's cheating a foot on everyone else.
It gives you a significant advantage over any batter, especially if you throw heat. So people don't make a big deal out of it if it's a guy that's not throwing speed. But the guy that's throwing speed and he's in the zone, he's becomes from tough to hit to impossible to hit. And that was a lot of the reason for Menachem's success. He did correct it. I watched him in the tournament, in the oil tournament. He didn't do it. So he actually corrected it. Every now and then, it mixes in here and there, and it becomes an issue. But you're asking me the question, Steve Pollard, Menachem Diamondstein. Listen, I'm always one that likes to pay homage and respect to the veterans because they paved the way. And without the veterans, we don't even have our leagues that we have right now. And he's kind of like a pioneer, Steve. So I'm giving the edge to prime Steve Pollard.
You know, we just had a
diplomatic answer, Sam. Diplomatic answer.
I do.
We just had a big in our spring softball league. We had so you were speaking to this earlier, Sam. You know, about recruiting talent. So Dave and I were very put a lot of pressure on Menachem Diamondstein. This Sunday morning league with only 6 or 7 teams. I'll say quickly. You know, we had one top team in the Bombers, Steve Pollen and a bunch of really phenomenal players. My team was always very solid, but after that, there really wasn't much talent. So one of our main focuses were if we're going to grow the league, we want to have 2 tiers. We want our top tier to really have legitimate talent. So we got Menachem Diamondstein to bring a team with guys like Archie and Yanky Itzkowitz and
by the way, this is deja vu all over again, Avi, because this is exact conversations and the same guys even 5 years later that I did, and it definitely helped build the profile for sure.
Shmuel Gestetner, I could go on and on. Phenomenal players. And they went to you couldn't ask for a better dream season. It was Diamondstein versus Pollen in the championship. It was a best of 3. The Bombers won game 1, Diamondstein won game 2, and then game 3 went to like the 7th inning with bases loaded, 2 outs. And I think and the guys had ground ball to third, and Steve Pollen's on the mound. The third baseman couldn't come up with the play, and it ended up tying the game. And Diamondstein
needed Sam Sutton in there. They needed Sam Sutton
had to win it, and Steve Pollen is devastated even till this day. He can't come on the podcast yet because he just cannot get over. From their perspective, the Bombers won 4 championships in a row. They were like the kings of this HSL league. And then all of a sudden, Diamondstein brings in this star-studded team. It was like the year for the Bombers to show that it's not just we're playing with weak teams. We're going to beat anyone.
And David, I have a bone to pick with you guys, and I don't like it one bit. Is this a BYOB league? That's got to stop. I'll tell you why it's got to stop. You don't.
I knew this would get brought up. By the way, I didn't tell you, Doug. I knew at one point it's going to get brought up.
He means bases. He's referring to bases.
Oh, he means bring your own. Meaning, explain what you mean, Sam.
BYOB team is you're bringing your own team, and there's no draft involved. So now, of course, you're going to have a 4-time champion with the all-star team together. And this is my biggest gripe with the Ashkenazim. Always was, always will be. Like in the Koya League, they love bringing their hammer team because everyone's an all-star. You have Adam Hoffman on the left. You have
part of the Bombers. Adam Chioff.
Was Mitzi Miller in center. You have all the guys. They like to bring the recruits. It's reminiscent to LeBron, Wade, and Bosch. It gets under my skin because you don't get a true sense of the best team. First, you're supposed to win if you're the all-star team. If you don't, it's a colossal letdown. And I get it. Year 1, it makes sense. Year 2, maybe. Year 3, Year 4 of the league, it's time to start shifting focus and doing a draft because it's unfair for the other 6, 7, 10 teams that are in the league that are playing with subpar, inferior talent and watching the all-star team mash every single night. I mean, the whole punch of I want to play with my boys. Yeah. That doesn't work. You're playing with your boys for 30 years. How about make new friends?
Not to the Bombers. That's the Bombers.
I hate it. Right. I hate it. And half the people that I tell, how do you think I know so many people? I play in so many different leagues. I made so many different friends. I network with people. If you're playing with the same 11 guys, I don't want to see them anymore. I'll see you after the game. We'll go for barbecue. We'll go for dinner, whatever it may be. Enough, enough, enough. Anyway, that is my pet peeve with these leagues. Go ahead, continue.
Sam. Yeah.
We have two leagues, Titan and Legacy. So it's not like we have the Diamond Scenes and the Pounds competing with these guys who like can't play, aren't that great. But you are even within our top tier. Menachem's team and Steve Pound and the Bombers, those two teams are definitely way above the rest of the tier one teams. So
But as Sam was talking, I guess he's good at the sales. I was like, we got to do a draft. In fact, Sam, can I add you to our WhatsApp community? I'm going to post the interview, and then in a day or two, I'm going to post a poll. Who would be interested in a draft league, the likes of which Sam is talking about? And let's see what comes up in that community.
So, David, I'm more than happy to be added. Depends on what I'm doing. I'm a pretty busy person, but I will try to participate in some sort of back and forth there. And if it tickles my fancy more, then I'll get involved, no problem. But by all means, and I will stand on the hill, and you're always going to get the opposition, by the way. But no, we want to play with our boys. You know what I tell those people? So don't play. So now you're not in that position right now because you need everybody. And you can't afford to tell people to go away. But with Hashem's help, and it's kind of what I built M&S into at this point, I only have 84 spots. Dafka. I only want 7 teams. I choose. There's a waiting list of about 60 to 70 guys. If you don't like it, no worries. Don't play. And that's the way it's designed.
Why do you cap it, though?
I'll tell you why. I only have one field at my disposal with lights that we control. There's another field in Neptune, New Jersey called Burt Willis Field, where the lights go out at like 10:30, and if that recording resumed, I guess I went pause again. Because
No,
I have
but
one.
it goes. Don't worry.
you're good.
Yeah?
Okay.
Because I have one field, there is only 3 nights a week that I could play with because I like to have a Thursday as a rain date, which means there's either 6 teams or 8 teams. And I can have 2 teams on bye. I rather have 1 team on bye at all given points. Every week you get a bye. And the way the playoff format is, it always works out great. Top 3 teams is where you want to be at. Formatting is always better. We always have something to play with the open date on Thursday, especially with all the fast days in the summer. So really the happy zone is 7 teams. I could do 8, I could do 10, I could do 12, but it'll prolong the season till after Elul, till after Rosh Hashanah. I don't like getting there. I like to be concise. I like to have a 7-week regular season followed by a wild card semis, World Series. Summer's over. Go back to Brooklyn. Have a nice day.
Gold ball versus mush ball. What's with the gold ball? What's going on with the gold ball and these Lakewood and Deal people using these gold balls?
Okay, so when I was running the Brooklyn League, it was grandfathered in that they were using the mush ball, and that was like the first time I even was using that mush ball. It is a world of a difference. And now I'm going to tell you a few things. You would think the gold ball, and David, you look confused. Gold ball is wrapped tighter, is definitely harder, and you could use a gold ball for, on certain occasions, 2 full games. And on a mush ball, you have to change it up every 3-4 innings. Otherwise, that ball is like unusable. And with that being said, the gold ball you would think favors the offense, and it kind of does. It kind of thicker on the gold ball, and it's kind of easier to control your pitching as a pitcher. And I've heard this from numerous pitchers. So there is advantage hitter, but it also is advantage pitcher, not so much defender because it's coming in harder, but playing third base is more instinctual. So me personally, I like the gold ball as opposed to waiting on that extra hop. A short hop, I pick it. It's a very big difference. There's mileage for each side, but in Brooklyn, you can't use the gold ball because if a ball goes into the gap, it's hitting a guy playing cricket in left field, and you probably are killing somebody that's probably not even legal in the country. But in Deal, when you have these gorgeous open fields, you could play with the gold ball and play them deeper, and it won't interfere with anything. So quality of game Gold Bowl is not even close. Much better game, better
But Sam,
score.
with the Gold Bowl, I'm seeing 21-19 scores and 23-20
That's not the
scores.
reason for those scores. The reason for those scores are the illegal bat epidemic that we're dealing with right now in all of our leagues. So now, a important note you should know, in one of the leagues, and I'm not going to reference which one because it's not worth it, but they had a scandal where people were shaving their bats and people were opening up the composite of their bats and they were rolling their bats, and they actually had to bring a tester, $5,000 machine, to see where the pressure was and all these crazy, mishugas, things I never even heard of up until last year. And I know that all the leagues, like, I don't know, you were in OHL last year when I was there. I was in charge of the rules over there.
Yeah.
It's about safety. When you're using an illegal bat, the ball flies off the bat, and I've seen more than once. I'll name two examples. One of them is Eddie Nissim, plays in my league. He took a ball to the face, broke his orbital bone, and broke his cheek and his collar. The ball comes in 100 miles an hour with these illegal bats, and especially with the gold ball. And another one is Murad Katan. He took a shot to the face. More safety on the pitcher's end because he's the one that's right in the face after he does the release point. And it's about safety, and that is the reason why these balls are flying. And I don't know if you realize, LBA Lakewood last year, there were 100 balls going over the fence. This year, Shimon cracked down. I think he got the hint after I spoke to him about it many, many a times. And now all of a sudden, guys that were hitting bombs over the fence 30 feet over are hitting warning track power fly balls. So it's a different sport with that. Definitely contributes to gold ball, but when you mix the gold ball with speed pitching and illegal bats, that's where you get these 20-run games.
The first time I was
Sam,
in the Gold Bowl,
Sam, I think you gotta.
I gotta hop
to...
off. My phone is ringing
Yeah.
off the hook. Give me a closing question.
Closing question, Avi. You have something for Sam? I have something, but
Go ahead,
if you do, go ahead.
Go ahead. You
I'll
go.
give you both one shot because I really got to run. Go ahead.
Dave,
What
go.
advice do you have for us?
That was my
Advice?
question. All right.
I can give you real advice on this.
Yeah.
Do not stop. Viewership, not where you want it. I only have 100 views, 200 views. You got to build. Momentum is the king over here. If you keep on putting content together and slowly but surely improving, audience notices the improvements. And as long as you keep at it and you know you have a core audience, it will build. And advice number 2, I don't know if you do or do not, get sponsorships. That's what keeps these leagues going.
We have over 30 sponsors so far.
Perfect. That's what keeps these leagues going.
So last thing, social media. We have obviously have a WhatsApp following. We just opened up an Instagram account in the last couple of days. What's your suggestion on how to grow social media and how to get that popping also?
Social media is all about, you have to realize over here you're not looking to hit a broad audience because it's a micro-targeting audience.
It's like internal marketing almost. Yeah.
Right. It's so now, let's say how many guys are in the league? Let's just say 100 as a round number.
Which one of our leagues? Softball league, probably closer to 150, 180.
So let's just say 200, for example. Yeah. The way I always do the rules of engagement is everyone in the league must be watching. I'm saying for you to want to think we're being successful. Everyone in the league must be watching, and at least one other, like their plus one, whoever that may be, a brother, a father, a wife, whatever, to watch that. So if you have 140 people, if you have 280 views, it means you accomplish. It means a guy might be watching 3-4 times, but you're getting to more than the league itself. And you start from there. That is your baseline. That is your foundation. Once you hit your foundation, okay, how do we go 3 times? How do we go 4 times? So now there are videos like on one of my social media channels where I kind of go viral. There's like 50, 60,000 views per video that I put out. I know I hit it over there. I know I have that audience, not just the targeted audience, but then the broad. But you got to start with who your customers are. Make sure they're happy. Make sure their surrounding is happy. And then once you're from there, then start looking about who else. Because you're always looking to please everyone else. But no, please the audience, please the customer, please the consumer. And then from there, organically build it out. That is my suggestion on social media.
Awesome.
And by the way, YouTube is more important than you think. YouTube is as important as Instagram.
Explain.
YouTube audience, I mean, aside from the video, the lengthy videos, more people are inclined to click on a YouTube link than an Instagram link. That's just from my experience. And especially in this world. Not in, I do a lot of stuff in food, but in food, it's not really the case. That's more of Instagram, instant, scrolling on your phone type thing. But for this stuff, whether it be highlights and shows and building a channel, YouTube proves to be more successful for me. At least that's my.
We put all our podcasts on YouTube, so we're definitely heading in the right direction with that.
Yeah, definitely keep it up, and great job, and hopefully we get a good response. And
Yeah,
let's
sure.
go.
We'll be in touch.
Let's go, baby. Sam,
Thanks
what
a
a
lot, Sam.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Pleasure.
much. Bye.
My pleasure. Got it. Bye.